Hello, welcome. I'm Henry Ssekitto by names, and I'm actually going to be taking you through Spreadsheet UNEB 2019 this past paper. And now, this is our question for paper what? For paper 2. They're actually telling us that we are using a spreadsheet software. We are going to load a file called retail shop and save it as our name and person number. But before we do that, what we are going to do is to first of all create our folder where we are going to be saving our work. So you come to your desktop, any free space you see, right click and come to new, then come to folder. So give it a name. Let me say I'm going to give it Henry. That is the folder that we are going to be using to save our work into this folder. Now we look for our support file. Our support file is here. We open it. Of course, these are the items we are having there. We are having some images. So now the question has been telling us that we are going to open our file called My Retail Shop. So I'm going to open this file, then we save it as our name and personal number. Are we together? Now we shall save that information into this folder that we are having as Henry. So now let's come to our support file. Okay, paper 2, then we open, because they have told us to open retail shop, My Retail Shop. Double click on it. So when you double click onto it, it is going to bring this information. Now, this is the information they have provided with us. It's the one we are going to be using to make our modification. But we have our question this side. So what I'm going to do is to trim part of this paper and put that question into our spreadsheet such that we can follow along. Let me use the snipping tool. So you come to start under the search button, type SNI. So it is going to bring you the snipping tool. So now what we are going to do is to trim that part of that paper that we want. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim part of that paper that you're going to be, or that number that you're going to be attempting. So you right click and say copy. So you can minimize, Come and paste it aside into your spreadsheet. Just say paste. So our question is here. So I'm going to be using this question as well as you following with me. Now part B is saying that, or part A was still telling us that we can save this as our name and personal number. So we come to the office button. When we come to the office button, we are not going to use the save because there's the difference between save and save as. They have told us to save as. Remember, when you save, that information is going to be updated into the other file that we have opened in the support file. But we want to choose another location where we can save our file. That means that we are going to use the save The save as. And it gives us an option of changing the name and even the location of our file. So we want to save it into our folder we created, which was Henry. And we're going to use our name and personal number. So I'll click on save as. I'm not going to use save, but I'll click on save as. Then remember we created our folder onto the desktop. So I'll look for desktop. Assuming that you're not seeing desktop here, you can come here up, then you type the word desktop, they will bring you that information. Most cases, people come and look for desktop this side, they don't see it and say that I'm not seeing that. So what you do, you can come aside here, type your desktop. They will give it to you. So click on desktop, then come and look for the name of the folder that you created. Of course, it was Henry. Click on it and say open. When you open, that means that our file will be saved into the folder called Henry. So we shall come and change the name here now. So they have told us to save it as our name. So I'm going to save it as Ssekitto Henry. Ssekitto Henry. Then the personal number, let me say it is 001. Now, save as type. How are we saving that file? We are saving it as a workbook. Then we shall click on save. Now our file name has changed. So we can come and first look at our folder whether we have that file there. So now it is telling us that we are having Ssekitto Henry 001. So the folder has been saved. This file has been saved into our folder. So now let's come and continue. Now the question is saying part B. So we are done with part A. Those are 2 marks. They are telling us that we are going to format our currency value with a Uganda shillings, and they are telling us the symbol is this one. So what we are going to do, we are going to come and select or highlight our information. Then we give it a symbol, which is the UGX. So after highlighting, you're going to right click, come to format what? Format cells. Give it time to load. So now our dialog box has been brought. So they have told us we are going to format our currency. I'm going to click on currency. Then remember our information is having no decimal places. So we are going to remove the decimal what? Decimal places. We put it to 0. Then we come under symbols. We look for the UGX. That means that I'm going to come here, I type U because Uganda shilling begins with U. So I will type U. They are going to take me where I'm having those U. Current symbols of what? Of U. Then I'll click the UGX, then I'll press OK. So it is going to be provided in front of my what? My information. Are we together? That's part 2. Or part B has been done. Then we come, they're telling us that we are going to type the following labels in the following cells. A15. So we have A, then we count up to 15. We put as total what? Total cells. Then in S16, they hunt the highest cells. So if the word doesn't fit properly, come in between the A and B, then you modify it or drag and it becomes, or you increase the what? The size. Then S17, they want the lowest. Lowest what? Cells. Then under 18, they want the average cells. I think that's done. We are done with also this. They have not told us to calculate anything, but they have told us to write them. Then part D. Type the column title cells in D1. We look for D1 and type there our title as cells. Are we together? Then we come to D2. They have told us that we are going to put commission. That is it. So we can enlarge our column such that the figures can fit there or the word can fit there. Then that is done also. That is 1 mark. Use appropriate formulas to calculate the what? To calculate the cells. So they want us to get the answer for the cells. Of course, we have the cells in D1 and we have quantity, we have unit price. It's like, for example, when you go to the shop, you buy 2 books, but each book is at 500. So if you have bought 2, we multiply and get the answer. That means that we are going to multiply this and this to get the cells. Are we together? Now, what we are going to do is we are going to multiply the money and the quantity. So equals, we are going to use a formula or function called what? The product. Because remember, began with an equal sign. Any formula in Excel begins with an equal sign. So without that equal sign, it won't, or Excel will not know that I'm going to make a calculation. So I've typed the equal sign. I want the product. So they're going to bring for me product. I double click on it. What do I want to put into that bracket? I want to put the quantity and the unit price. So I'm going to highlight from B2 to C2. Then I'll press enter. Then afterwards, they have told me that they have multiplied this and this. Then afterwards, I want to get the other answers. I'm going to come into my first answer. Then I drag the fill handle. It brings for me the other answers. Are we together? That is it. By the way, we can also separate after 3 zeros, we can put a separation or a comma. We can right click and come to format cells. Then under formatting of the cells, we can come to the currency. We can even call it the what? The general number or the currency. Then into that one, we can come and say onto the number. Let's say we don't want the what? The decimal places. Put them to 0. Then we use a 1000 separator. Up to that. That means that after 3 zeros, they are going to put for us the what? The comma. We put that. So after 3 zeros, they put a comma. They are looking good. Now we come to another question, and they are telling us that they want the total sales for all the items. That means that the total sales are in every item. Remember, we are coming down now. Come under this, then we get the total sales. Of course, we begin with the equal, then we begin with our formula, which is the sum. Sorry, we are not putting it there. Let's extend, then equals sum. So we want the summation of the above. That means that we are going to highlight our information. Then we press enter. Then highest, of course, it is equals. We use the formula which is the max. So max is specifically used to obtain the highest value in the range. So we highlight our range. Press enter. Then we come to the lowest. Of course, it is the opposite of max, which is the mean. Then we are going to get the lowest value in the range. Of course, that is the lowest value in our range. Then they want the average what sales. Of course, it is equals average. We click on double click on average. Average of this one, it is going to highlight, then it gets the average of the sales. Those are our answers we have got. Now, they have told us that they want the commission at 5% of the sales. That means that they are going to make, for example, if we write down here commission, then they have told us that we are going to use a 5% as our commission. That means that every person or every item here is going to be calculated as a commission. It is going to be 5% of this, 5% of the sales, 5% of the what of the sales. That means that we are going to put this, but we shall be looking this sales such that it doesn't change, while these ones are going to be changing. Of course, we call that one absolute sale referencing. Now we shall come into our formula. Of course, it is going to be 5%, which is 5 over 100 times the sales. Of course, we have sales into this column. So what we are going to do, we are going to say equals. Then we come and pick our 5, which is here. But remember, I've told you that it's going to be constant or not changing. So we make it absolute. Come onto your keyboard and look for function 4. Press that function 4. It is going to put dollar signs onto the column and the row, meaning that it is going to make this column and row absolute or not changing. But these values have to be changing because they are different for different items. So we multiply shift and 8 and multiply by the sales. That means that they are going to be getting 5% of this, 5% of this, 5% of this, 5% of all these values. Then we press enter. Then we get the answer. That is our answer. So we can drag and get also the other answers. That means that when you click here, it is showing you that it's B20 times this, B20 times D3, B20 times. So the first one is not changing because we made it absolute. Now, question F is telling us that insert a row above or on top of your worksheet and enter the suitable heading for the data. So what we do there, we are going to come at the beginning of our headings. Then we click onto that number 1 in the row. Then right click onto that, then say insert. It is going to put for us another row cutting across. Remember, we are going to write the heading for our work. And for us to write the heading there, these are specifically different cells. We are going to merge these cells into one cell, such that our heading can really fit there. So what we do, we highlight all of them up to where we have our information. Then come onto the top here and say merge what? Merge cells. That means that it's going to remove the cells such that we can write our heading. So I can say a table representing or showing my expenditure. So the headings can be different for every person. It doesn't mean that if I've also put this, you're also supposed to put the heading as this one. It depends on what you want to put. So let's put our work into borders. Remember, because when we don't put this work into borders all, it won't be, whenever we print it, it won't be displayed clearly, because these columns and rows, all these cells, will only be visible if you apply borders. When you print them out, are we together? So we are going to apply borders onto all our work that we have done. Then we can say all borders. So it puts that information into our borders. Now, the second last question says, insert the current date and time in the footer. That means that for us to insert the footer, we can come to insert, come and say header or footer. Or if that one is very difficult for you, come under the page layout down here. Click on it. We are down here. Click on it. It is going to take you where the header is. For example, if they have asked for the header, it is always above. Simply that information above the printable margin. Then if they have asked for the footer, you're going to come below. You scroll down, then come to the footer. So they can tell you to put it at the left, in the center, or at the right. So they have not specified. So for me, I'm going to put it under the middle. So we shall come up here and say current date. Then we also put the time, because they said insert the current date and what? And time. That means that it will always be picking the date for your computer, which is current at that what? At that moment. Then afterwards we can come back to the what? To the normal view. So when we come back to the normal view, it will take us back. How? If, for example, you wanted to see whether you had that header or footer, you can come back here, then come into the print, then you can preview. It will show you that you're having your work inside here, down here as our footer. So you can close it. So that is how our work is going to be looking like. Then they are telling us that save and print your work. Of course, if we wanted to print, we would come to our print. Then we choose the type of printer, if they are installed there. Then how many copies do you want? If you want only the selection that you have, or the entire page, or all the pages, you can specify everything under the print dialog box. That has been specifically our paper. Then you can really try it out at home. I think I've helped you out. Thank you for watching. See you next time.